Welcome back, everyone, to the Performance Matters podcast. I'm Matrix, and we're joined today by Jevon Balfour. The guy has a fucking pedigree in the wrestling community. 5-time CIS champion. Yeah. Junior national champion. Senior national champion. Commonwealth bronze. And silver. Fuck. Okay, so there you go. And now the assistant wrestling coach at McMaster University. So, yeah, man, fuck. Why don't you just start off by walk us through your journey a little bit in the wrestling community and then transition that to now being a coach.
Journey, just like how it started, and
walk us through it.
I was in high school, and I don't know, all my friends were doing sports, even in middle school and whatnot. I just didn't really want to ask my mom to fork over that money. We weren't in a position for that, so I just was in high school. I'm like, you know what? I want to get fit. I want to start playing sports. I want to be part of a team, do something cool. And I tried out for so many different sports, made it the cut for a lot of sports. I didn't try out for wrestling. And then my one friend, Lenford, you know Lenford.
Yeah, I remember Lenford.
He was just like, yo, you should try wrestling. I think you'd be so good at it. And I'm like wrestling? He's like, yeah, it's not like WWE. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like the ones where they wear that tight suit. And he's just like, yeah, but I think you'd be really good at it. I'm at the practices and everything. I'm just like, yo, Jevon would be sick at this. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't think I'm going to try it, but whatever. Ended up getting into not really a fist fight, just an argument in the hallway and whatnot. Just this guy chirping, and I was chirping back, and we started pushing each other a little bit. The wrestling coach, Chris Kelman, he was there, and he separated us. You guys want to have all this testosterone build up? You need to go release it on the wrestling mat. Blah blah blah. Come to practice tonight. Da da da. And then the other guy didn't end up showing up, but I did, only because Lenford had mentioned it before, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me try this out. Went there, got my ass kicked. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Fuck yeah. I can't. I have no filter, man. I can't. There's no fucking way we're filtering this shit.
I was just making sure. Got my ass kicked. Got my ass kicked by the coach's daughter. Everyone was beating me up. And I'm like, man, this makes no sense. I feel like I'm good at grappling around with friends and whatnot. I need to learn this. So I started picking up the techniques. Went to my first tournament, Mentor College. Got destroyed, obliterated. And I don't know, that year I just slowly started picking it up. Won my junior regionals. Doesn't mean much, but considering I was losing a lot of tournaments, it was a big deal for me. The coach didn't really recognize me then either. The next year, I would train during the summer. I'd do my little runs. There was no real practices for the club that there was. So in grade 10, we had practice again, tryouts. He saw me there and he's like, man, kid, where'd you come from? And then he didn't even recognize me. And then I was just I don't know, I was on the team last year. He's like, how'd you do? I'm like, I won juniors. He's just like, what? You won juniors? He's like, okay, you need to start coming out to club practices.
Yeah, you gotta level up.
So I started going out to club practices. He helped me a lot with those. Again, I didn't want to ask my mom for the money and whatnot, so I had to try to make some money. Went through the process. Won nationals that year at the cadet level. That was a big deal. Lost provincials though, a couple months before, which made no sense, but just unlucky. And then won nationals. And I'm like, I want to try to see what I could do with this sport. Great. And then also I got sixth that year, I think. Yeah, sixth. The next year I won OFSA. The year after that I won OFSA. I got second at nationals in my grade 11 year. Didn't go in grade 12. Tried for that cadet team. Didn't make that. And I'm like, I want to go somewhere that's gonna up my wrestling.
Yeah,
so I started going over to all these universities. I went to Guelph. I went to Concordia. I went to Brock a lot. And I was just trying to pick where I would want to go. And then I don't know. You were in the room at the time at Brock. And I remember going to the Brock practices, and everyone was just a dog, and everyone was just scrapping every single practice. And I remember other coaches being like, "Man, don't go to Brock. It's gonna
everyone
be."
Everyone said that.
Everyone said that. It made no sense to me.
Everyone said that.
It's gonna be so hard. I'm like, yeah, but isn't that kind of what you want? You want it to be hard, don't you? That's how you're gonna get better. And I think they thought that was gonna deter me away from going to Brock, but it kind of made me want to go there a little bit more, especially wrestling with you, Laverick, Ryan Waker, Evan McDonald, Jake Hergenheim, CJ Hudson. There were so many guys that you could wrestle with. And Jake Hergenheim was 57 kilos. I walk into the room and he's beating the piss out of me. And I was just like, yo, what's going on here? But so I ended up going to Brock. Won OUAs and CIS 5 times. We won that OUA. We I don't know if you know this, but we started that legacy of them winning. Well, I guess it would have been 10 this year.
Okay. We don't talk. We're responsible.
Yeah.
For the recent losses.
But we started a good little run. It was me, you, and CJ that won at Western in the finals, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had all three of us had really crazy. Well, CJ didn't have a really crazy match, but you and I were in a little bit barn burners ish kind of thing. So it was cool. And then after that, just I don't know, took off, had good partners, had good coaches. Prickett came into the room at the time, and I don't know. I think it was hard not to like get better.
Yeah, it's hard not to excel.
Yeah, so then won nationals 5 times. Now I'm coaching at Mac, trying to make these kids win nationals. Didn't want to coach for the longest time, but Ahmed came over, offered me something, and just like, you know what, let me go see what this coaching stuff's about. But
yeah,
it's cool. Coaching is cool.
It's different. It's definitely different. It's crazy to talk about the recruiting process because the recruiting process has changed. I remember like even when I wouldn't even say I got recruited by Brock. I don't even think Marty fucking looked at me.
Same.
I think it was kind of like, you know, you get calls from Western, you get calls from Lakehead, they'll fly you out and all this shit. You know, you do the nice thing, which is great.
Yeah.
And then you're emailing Marty at Brock and it's being like, hey, I want to, you know, you're trying to like, shouldn't you be emailing me a little bit? But okay, fine, I'll do the outreach. You know, try to, you know, take some autonomy here. And I remember he was just like, yeah, you can come to the room this day. So okay, cool. So I mean, my mom drove up. He wasn't even fucking there. He wasn't in the fucking room. But the difference is like when I first walked in, again, I went to Lakehead recruiting first and everything else, and then I go into the Brock room. The first thing when I walk in that room, I see guys fucking fist fighting. I see fucking Evan and like someone else fist fighting, and Ryan Johnson at the time was just sprinting. We haven't even started yet. They're just like sprinting and like a madman. I'm like watching. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, holy shit, these guys are fucking animals. I'm like, and then all of a sudden you just get turned on. You're like, fuck yeah, this is, I gotta be in here.
Yeah.
So you go through practice, a fucking hard practice. I already wasn't even there. And then I remember like fucking after practice, you know, the change room. You know, I don't really know anybody at all. And I kind of just walk through, you have your towel on. I remember Evan McDonald fucking sitting there, just sitting on the bench with the fucking towel over his crotch. And he's like looking, he's like, who the fuck are you? I just look at him, and I was just like, oh, I'm Matrix. I'm, you know, I'm just, you know, thinking about coming here in the fall. And he just like looks at me, he's like, you want to fucking win? I was like, of course I want to win. He's like, then we'll see you in the fall.
Nice.
I was like,
Evan response for
yeah,
sure.
I was like, and that was just the recruiting process. I wouldn't even fucking recruit. And then the second time I came, Marty was there, same fucking scenario. And then after practice, me and my mom were waiting outside the room because I thought he was going to show us around like every other coach. He comes out after the shower, fucking towel still on his neck. He's just like, right, recruiting. Okay, yeah, there's the gym. There's bikes and shit up there. Oh, there's a picture of me. Yeah, thanks for coming. And I was just like, he walks away. My mom looks at me and she's like, you want to go here? And I was like, yeah, I really do. Like, these guys are fucking monsters. I think I'll get better here.
Yeah.
That was my recruiting process. That was it. And then I was just, I don't know how the fuck, you do that today. I don't know how the fuck that would work. I don't know if it would work.
It wouldn't work the same.
It wouldn't work, but it was just, I think that back then the room for recruiting just spoke to how elite it was. Like
100%.
The athletes made that culture, the team made that culture, and Marty facilitated it. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's crazy looking back now how people try to deter you from it because of how tough it was. Yeah. But then it attracts, like, that's the avatar. It attracted a certain person that, in my mind, was like, you can handle that adversity. Like, it wasn't winning in the first minute, it was winning in the 6th minute. Yeah. Those kind of people that were just fucking dogs. And that's a hard thing, I think, to find nowadays.
Super hard.
You know what I mean? Like, I think
that caliber of athlete for sure.
Yeah, I think things have just changed where now it's so instantly gratifying. Where I wouldn't say coddling, but close to the word coddling, where it's kind of like you have to tickle their ego a little bit. You have to kind of cater to making them feel good about certain things. And don't get me wrong, there's a time to like. But I think transparency and honesty is like, this is what we're about. If it's not a fit for you, that's okay. Yeah. But like our history of success, I think would speak for itself. But if you are this type of person, then this could be a place where you thrive. 100%. But it's not for everyone. Like that's like, I would say any program is like that. There's certain, you know, personalities that line up with certain people, certain coaching staff and athletes. And if you can't, if it's a grind just to kind of get through that, then you're not really going to thrive anyway because then morale goes down. But it's just different how the recruiting process has changed so drastically now, and you kind of have to go through all those other steps of, you know, the coaches really have to do a lot of outreach, and they have to do it sooner now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not where grade 11, grade 12, they were just, okay, you're grade 12 now. All right, here's the next step. I think at least for a lot of our D1 kids, they're being looked at in like grade 9, grade 10.
Grade 10 and 11 is like for us then.
Yeah, they're starting earlier and making those connections earlier,
but it should. I don't know. I don't think it should be for everyone. You know what I mean? I feel like
absolutely not.
If you lower the standard, then you just lower the quality of experiences that you get.
Dilute it. Yeah, you dilute it a lot. We've seen that too, where now people are trying to. They almost like went too far. They're trying to cross that threshold, and like everyone kind of gets the. You're like, well, no. Like let's go back to reality here. Less than 1% of people ever get the experience of not only playing in a championship match, much less winning one.
Yeah,
like that, but there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. It's not personal. It's objective. Yeah. And I think what we try to do on our end over here anyway is we try to be very transparent with kids. Like if this is something you aspire to do, even if you're grade 9, grade 10, like this is something you aspire to do, if you're on the A team, like understand that the mindset should be like you probably have aspirations to play at the post-secondary level,
100%.
and then this is what this is going to look like. So then by default, if you're training like you're going to play post-secondary in your high school ages, you're going to hit those stepping stones a lot more efficiently, and I think you're going to excel by default because you're striving for something. No different than I think in the Brock room at the time, it wasn't winning university nationals, university provincials. Everyone was trying to win senior nationals, and then make a world team. And by default, you tended to win the other things because that were stepping stones to what your overall objective was. You weren't settling for just university nationals. That was a milestone. So, okay, I should win this. Like 100%. I'm expected to win. I think what I used to say was, winning was expected in that room. Domination was the goal. It wasn't good enough just to win the nationals. You were trying to tech motherfuckers and make a statement versus just, you're happy to win. It's like, well, no, winning is expected of you. Like in this room, you're expected to win. Silvers were not an option.
No.
You know what I mean? So
no one was happy with that.
Yeah, no one was happy with silver, even at the national level. Like you lost. You're first loser. Congratulations, you lost to get silver.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I would hope to bring that back. I think it's okay to feel, guilt or feel regret or feel whatever. Like, yes, those are feelings because you lost. It's uncomfortable for a reason. It's what do you choose to do forward after that?
Exactly, and that's how you get better.
That's how you get better.
If you have never experienced that, you're probably not going to get better. Not saying you can't, but it's harder.
It's fucking hard. But people don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? So that's why you need that standard of expectation. You need that culture to go into and say, okay, like if all you knew was I was a top dog in my pool, all of a sudden you go to the next level and like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is what I'm missing. It's no different than how we did training camps across the states and everything else. Like you thought you were working really hard, and then you see guys that are doing the exact same thing as you and kicking the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Like it's not rejection. It's just redirection. Like, oh, okay, now it's another layer.
Not rejection. It's redirection. I like that.
Yeah. It's a different lens you look at it. And I think kids are lacking that a little bit more now because they think they know everything. I wouldn't say they think they know everything. I think they know what's best right now, but they haven't experienced what the next level is. And how do we kind of bridge that gap? So it's an easier transition because I think what we try to help with our kids is like, if you want to go post-secondary, we're going to train and prepare and act accordingly like your post-secondary because really the things don't change in post-secondary. Like let's just take volleyball, for example. You're still going to bump, set, spike. You're going to do a lot of the similar drills that you were doing in the club level. If you're on a good club team, you'll be doing a lot of the same drills, maybe a few variations different. Of course, everyone has their own technique for that. But the foundation is the same. You're just doing the same thing against better people at a faster pace. Yeah. That's it. So it's no different than wrestling. You're still doing fucking a double leg. You're still doing single leg. You're still doing high crowd. You're doing all those things. It's just against better people.
It's got to be more efficient.
It's against better people faster. So it's like if you're in high school training 3 days a week, if you're in high school training 3 times a day, you're still in university training 3 times a day. It's just against better people.
Yeah.
But if you've only been training like 3 times a week in high school and now you're training 6 days a week in university, that's a hard jump.
Yeah, that is.
You know what I mean? And it's against better people at a faster pace.
Way harder for anyone to transition to that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's how do you kind of get that across? You know what I mean? Like, what's your experience coaching these kids at MAC? Because again, they come from high school club and they're coming to McMaster trying to excel at the next level. So there is a gap. But what do you guys do?
So it's funny that you even bring part of that conversation up. One of the things that we talk about is like, why was the Brock room so successful? And I think it's because we had all those senior athletes that stayed back after university, and they were wrestling, like you said, they were trying to be like national champions. So then you're going up against these guys that are trying to be national champions during practice, and you're just like, man, like, how am I going to do this? And every day you have to face that. And if you have to face that, then like sooner or later you have to find like a solution somehow. If you never have to face that, you never really have to find a solution. You're just like, okay, well, I'm just going to go to this tournament, and maybe I win just because I got a great coach. I got other good athletes in the room as my training partners, and I have like decent matches. Whereas like we had like all these older guys, Chris Laverick, Evan McDonald, Jake Hergenheim, like I mentioned before, CJ Hudson, and we'd go in the room. These guys are all trying to be national champions, and we had to beat these guys. And then when we went to OUAs and CIS or U Sports, it was not that big of a deal. We had these guys to wrestle against. So the environment that we're trying to provide to MAC is something very similar. It's a little bit harder. It's just hard to have kids stay back at McMaster. or I guess not kids at the time because they'd be graduating high school. Still kind of kids.
Yeah. Young adults.
Young adults.
Young adults.
Stay back and like still wrestle for a little bit. So I don't know, it's a grueling experience trying to like keep them there, but we're just trying to make sure that younger kids can get to that level a little bit faster. For right now, we had there's a couple of years of COVID that kind of deterred us from having those athletes that are at high quality level. So a lot of the athletes coming in now, they like lost 2.5 years of, I don't know, experience. So it's like a little bit different, right?
It's a dent.
Yeah, big dent. Like they even like don't want to train the same because they were at home doing nothing. So like they don't know real adversity right now. They're learning real adversity as like everything starts coming back. And like even like I went to OFSA this year. I went to OFSA 2 years ago. And OFSA 2 years ago versus OFSA now was so different. OFSA now was so much better. 2 years ago though, when I went, it was just so watered down. And like I know I say that, and like I don't want to be that old head that's like, oh, back in my days. And
it's not old. It's a reality.
It is a reality.
It's reality.
And I look at this year, and it's better than 2 years ago. So then now I'm like, okay, maybe what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing is like actuality. So I think it's coming up. I think it's still got a little bit of ways to go, but I don't know. I'm trying to do everything in my power to help these kids. I do a lot of these high school camps. I do one next weekend, so
yeah,
it's gonna take some time, I think. But
yeah, it's definitely, we're seeing the effects of on performance anyway. This, I would say, COVID, and then just how the mindset shifted to I think there's less accountability on the athletes themselves to take onus for right the process that they're creating, right? Like parents need to get out of the way. Right, coaches need to stay true to their standard, like be very transparent with expectations.
Big time.
You know what I mean?
We have a problem with that. For sure.
It's a hard one. Like, so how do you guys navigate that?
We're trying to figure it out right now. We're trying to like set a tone. Like even this year, is like if you don't have 2 years of experience and like wrestling shoes, like it's such a low bar.
That's a very low bar.
You know
That's
what I mean?
a low fucking bar.
Low bar, right? But like we're trying to like make people want to wrestle still, and like trying to have some depth on the team. So like, instead of having people that never wrestled or don't even have wrestling shoes come to our practices, we're like 2 years wrestling shoes, that's it, and like come and work hard, that's it. Because wrestling, everyone gets accepted, kind of thing. As long as you come in there and you work hard, everyone gets accepted. So we're just trying to like have a little bit of a cutoff, have a little bit of a standard, so people can recognize, okay, there's a standard. I got to meet the standard at least, at very least, and I got to like try to excel. You know what I mean? But
yeah, you can't. I find if you water it down too much over time, like it's a race to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, the race to the bottom. I hate the fact that the standard for some of these programs or clubs is if you can walk and chew gum, congratulations, you're in. It's like, well, no, really. Like, look, if you want to use like academics, like Harvard, for example, is exclusive. Why? It's because they have this culture of people that excelled academically, and then they graduate and go on to do incredible things. Mm-hmm. People see like, oh fuck, they came from there and they have this. Mm-hmm. I want to do that. Great. So now we're going to focus on what we do well and say, okay, well, the standard to get in is like 95 and all this other shit. We're going to review it very finely. But by default, you're actually enticing a lot more people to come in because it's so competitive. And now you have a pool of people you can literally select from to hand pick to be the best academia, 100%. Right? Same for I would say the broad group. It's like you're going to have to earn your spot because you have so and so, so and so. Any one of these 5 guys could place top 3.
Yeah.
You have to be the guy that's going to fucking beat. So it's like, not those guys are bad, but you're bad either. It's like they all could win. Yeah. That's how competitive the room is. Any of these guys we put in the spot is going to win. You're going to have to beat them. Versus now, it's kind of like, well, we need a guy to fill the spot. It's like, well, you can only do that for so long before your pool dilutes because no one's excelling anymore. The program gets worse over time because no results it's a wins and losses business. Yeah. There's nobody coming out of the program anymore. So you have to go back and say, well, we have to really tighten these. Like I'd rather have 3 or 4 guys and focus on them that are going to be like, you know what, these guys have a chance at winning. And if all 3 or 4 of those guys win, that only makes the program look good. Versus like I have 10 spots filled or whatever the spots are, 100%. And then one person may medal, and you're like, well, that just dilutes our pool a little bit. We have to be a little more selective. I don't think having standards are at all a bad thing. I think there's a balance of what's realistic, what's the growth cycle look like what are we striving for compared to last season?
Yeah.
Right? Like if we were top 5, okay, can we get top 4, top 3?
Exactly.
And then keep stacking those wins, and maybe in 5 years, like, okay, now we have a competitive program, and then keep building the foundation of what does the recruitment process look like? Mm-hmm. Because again, coaches have expectations, standards, as they should, but now so do athletes. Mm-hmm. Athletes are getting recruited, they have standards too. And I think the issue is going to be is that coaches have the standards like, yep, you can do all these things. And let's say you have a really top end recruit. He's like, well, I want the most competitive training partners. I want the most competitive coaching. And it's like, if your program doesn't have a history of doing that, that recruit's like, well, you're saying all the right things, but I'm looking at the room.
100%.
I'm not seeing people that are people that resonate with my work ethic or my attitude towards the
My
process.
goals and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like I need people that have been there, done that, or doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna match up with them, and I'm gonna be a really good fit. They're gonna
Yeah.
help me. I'm gonna help them. So it's
Yeah,
a
we're
very
trying to reevaluate that right now. It's like all of our meetings that we have together, that always comes up. It doesn't matter what. If we're talking about people cutting weight, at the end we're like, so how do we reevaluate the standard? How do we make sure like we keep it at a level that we don't go below, like, I don't know, 4th place? You know what I mean? We need to be in that top 3 no matter what, kind of thing. So yeah, reevaluating those standards is a big one right now. So
yeah,
let's see where it goes.
yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what Mac does. You had some decent placings this past,
No, for sure.
you know what I mean, past nationals. So
We had like over 50 kids at the recruitment camp. A lot of them are really interested in MAC right now. So just about getting the grades there now. Some of them didn't apply. We had a bunch of them apply, and now they're all applied. And it's really cool to see, and it's really nice to see when these kids really want to come to your program, especially the kids that are really hungry and whatnot. Those are the kids I like to. Well, any coach likes to work with. That you can see it right from the get go. This kid's hungry. They take a loss and they're like back at it, right? Again, how do I get better? It's like, those are the ones you want to be with, not the ones that are just like, oh, just there for it, just to be part of the team.
just to get the jersey, get the gear pack, and say they're varsity.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's fucking terrible. I think we've again, we work with like pro basketball guys, and Coach Vic is a fantastic example. Him and he's the head coach at Niagara River Lions. We just won the pro championship this past summer. And now he's the director of basketball at Ridley, and they just won the OSBA, so they won their championship. So he's 2 for 2 right now, coach of the year. And I think we agree on the same mindset of like, pick the team that you want to lose with. Like, pick the guys you want to lose with, because those are the guys that you have character that are going to take the loss. Even if they lose, they believe in the vision. They're going to work hard for the vision. Versus maybe pick 1 or 2 guys that might win, but their character, their integrity, their work ethic does not line up with the program. Because now you're chasing the short-term gains, right? Like, well, this guy fucking doesn't work. This guy's late to practice. He fucks around, but he's pretty good talent-wise. He might win, so we got to keep him. It's like, well, what does that say now to the program? You're gonna make exceptions to the rule and go against your standard. Like, well, that's not what we do, but we're gonna sacrifice it because, well, we need to win. It's a tough.
It is a tough one. Even like at Brock, I remember my first year for OUAs and CIS, we had a 5-man wrestle off for 2 spots. Yeah, that was crazy.
That's
like,
competitive.
So it could have easily just been the 2 seniors that were part of the team that, okay, you guys get the spot kind of thing.
Yeah, you're seniors. You just get it.
You just get it, but Marty knows what he's doing when it comes to that stuff. He's like, no, we're gonna put these guys in and see who can handle like this little like I don't know, pressure situation.
Yeah, mini match.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Yeah, I think you need that sometimes. I don't know if I can even say this, but we talked about it back down there when we were saying it, bring back bullying, and I'm not saying bring back bullying in like the sense is like, oh, you need to like shit on everyone and like make sure everyone doesn't feel like anything, blah blah blah. But you got to be able to take some criticism.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to be able to take some criticism and look inward on yourself and be like, okay, maybe it's not just one person saying this. It's like 5 people saying this. Okay, why do all these 5 people keep saying this about me? What is it that I need to do for myself to make myself grow, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And I think people are really scared to do that nowadays. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But
I think it's because this how things have transitioned. I wouldn't say it's bullying. I'd say bring back discomfort.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it is.
Bring back discomfort, because there's a big difference between uncomfortable and then unsafe, right? Those are not the same words. You know what I mean? And bring back ownership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at some point, if everyone's saying all these things like you don't work hard enough to do this, you just keep pointing fingers like, well, they don't see this. But then maybe at some point you look and say, maybe it is me.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
take ownership. The more responsibility you take, the more control over the outcome you're going to have.
100%.
Versus putting fingers there, and waiting for them to do something. It's like, well, no. Like, let's bring back some accountability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having uncomfortable situations. Like, how do you handle an uncomfortable conversation? How do you handle an uncomfortable reality? Like, you're not that good.
No,
you're not good enough yet, maybe. But right now, as the stats have shown, you're not that person right now. Doesn't mean you're going to disregard your process, but maybe there's some things you can work on to get better relative to you. What's your relative weak link in your chain? And you might have to be able to take that feedback and do with it what you will. It's going to be, again, I don't think any coach goes into this to just fucking say, fuck you, da-da-da. No, it's like, we're trying to help you. You set out an aspiration, an objective. Our job is to support you on that goal, but it's a two-way street, not a highway and a bike path. Like, I can't do all the work for you, you know what I mean? You got to fucking, it's like, here's the things that we see. We've been doing this a long time. Here's the things that we see. We're going to need to, you have to get to this here, you have to get here. Here's how you might want to navigate this.
Yeah.
If you can't take that, it's not for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's called elite sport. There's elite, like top 1%. There's a reason for that. Not everyone's going to hit that.
Yeah.
But again, just because, like we talked about downstairs, 2 guys battling for an Olympic gold medal, someone's going to lose. It doesn't mean the other guy's bad.
Yeah.
It just means on that day he lost. He's going to have to take that uncomfortable situation. What do you want to do with it? Do you come back and make it better, or do you say, fuck this, it was bullshit? Well, that doesn't change the outcome.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't change the outcome. So you have to be able to handle those uncomfortable situations. I think now we're seeing too much enabling where everyone just has to have, I think it goes back to what we were saying, they have to be catered to their ego because they feel uncomfortable. They don't like what they're feeling. So someone has to tell them, oh, it's okay, I was bullshit, blah, blah, blah. You're great, you're this. It's like, well, that still doesn't make you any better. That's not helping you.
It doesn't change nothing.
It's not helping you. In fact, I would argue it's a disservice. It's hindering you.
Mm-hmm.
And now instead of being able to have this strength of I can handle discomfort, whether it be physical discomfort, whether it's emotional discomfort, whether it's mental discomfort, and find a way to work through adversity, you've created a culture of emotional fragility, right? So now you have these guys or girls that are not comfortable. And again, this translates to after sport too. It's like, can you handle, a career? There's going to be uncomfortable conversations in your workplace. There's going to be uncomfortable situations in your career and hardships. And in relationships too, can you navigate tough conversations? Can you navigate finances? Can you navigate? There's so many lessons you can take from your ability to take feedback in any form and find a way to process, ride that wave, and move forward with it. If you're not comfortable doing that or handling those conversations, you're essentially going to see the repercussions
sooner or later.
Sooner or later, it's going to come back. Yeah, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass because of this, I would say, emotional and mental fragility.
Yeah.
And people might not like that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's personal in any way. It's just, that's a reality.
And if you don't like that, I think you're probably part of the problem.
Yeah. It's like,
so,
if it offends you, maybe it's you. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like that, it's like, but that's a reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as a coach, right? Their wins and losses business. Like, they have to put a team together that's going to move them up in the ranks. And if they don't, the athletic director is going to be knocking on their fucking door and being like, it's not working. So you think a coach is going to give up their house, their wife, their dog, their kids, and be like, well, but they're really nice people. It's hard for them. No. They're going to find people that are going to support their vision, their goal, and work their bag off and be like, I need these people to do their best because we have an objective to achieve. It's not recreational.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there has to be a very clear...
There has to be a clear path, 100%.
You know what I mean? It's not personal. It's just, this is a reality. This is what it takes. And if you find, the funny part is, the people that are doing the thing you want to do, like, can you match their work ethic? You know what I mean? Like, not even their talent. Like, it takes no talent for effort.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any talent to be effortful in your pursuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Effort requires no talent. You know what I mean? Like, we like to say attitude dictates effort, effort dictates outcomes, and I've yet to see anyone give 100% effort with a piss-poor attitude.
That's true.
It's true.
It humbles you hard.
You have to be humble. Like, there's nothing wrong with being humble. Like, take a fucking punch in the face and fall down. What do you do? Do you stay there and cry about it and move bullshit, or do you stand the fuck up and find a way to get better? Like, okay, well, I don't want that to happen again. I have to do something great.
Yeah.
Now we're solutions-driven, not excuse-dependent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a hard thing to teach. And again, I think parents have to understand that too, because I get it. You want to protect your kid.
Yeah,
but
get involved as well. That's the big part of it.
Yeah, I think you need to let kids navigate those uncomfortable situations. Let them handle adversity. Let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, those are 3 more powerful words. Figure it out. Because no one's going to save you. Find a way. Figure it out. What would you do? Come with a solution to this problem. What would you suggest?
Yeah.
And then usually the solution they come up with is the solution. Yeah, it's a great idea. Do that. You know what I mean? Like, I got my ass kicked. Bullshit. Well, what do you want to do about it? Well, maybe I should go to practice and work on that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Good on you. Go fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not personal. It's like, what do you want to do about it, man?
Yeah.
No one's going to save you.
No, you got to be able to take that criticism. I think even like in that Brock room, everyone knows Marty's a hard ass, right? But it's like, I always tell everyone like that came into the room, they're like, yo, how do you deal with like how Marty, like, I don't know, coaches and whatnot. I'm just like, honestly, the best thing to do with Marty is don't listen to how he's saying things, just listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, message versus tone.
Exactly. Because if you listen to the message, you'll understand like what he's saying and where he's coming from with it, why he's saying it and all that stuff. So it's just like, sometimes you just gotta like you said, let that ego go. Maybe someone's yelling at you, maybe they're emotional as well, just like you're emotional. It's not gonna be a perfect scenario, but try to do your best to just listen to the message. whatever the message is. It doesn't mean you have to take the message wholeheartedly. It doesn't mean you disregard the message, but just listen to the message.
Yeah.
Give that a thought, take that criticism, and whether you use it or not, it's there, and then now you can like develop, because there's words in there. If you took a bad high crotch and he starts being, oh, that high crotch wasn't set up, you didn't set it up, you didn't turn the corner, you didn't get that leg up. It's like, yeah, he's yelling at you about these things, but like, are you gonna be the one that folds and be like, okay, well, like, I did bad in this match, so I'm just gonna crumble? Or you be like, okay, next time I need to make sure A, B, C is done correctly.
Yeah, like you don't always have to agree with the message, but you can say, oh, there's probably some value that, can you take something from it,
Exactly.
apply it, and make it a little better? Like,
Exactly.
okay, great. Like, if they gave you 3 things in there, you don't agree with 2 of them, you can apply 1.
Exactly.
You're +1 now. Congratulations,
Exactly.
you're getting better. I think, again, that goes back to, I think it's big for kids nowadays. They always just listen to the tone. They don't like the tone of how something is communicated. It's like, and I get it. Everyone has a different way of communicating. Some people.
It's not just kids.
It's
everyone.
Oh,
Holy.
trust. I'm not. Yeah, I know. I know. Trust me. It's even adults now. It's fucking.
Yo.
But I think it's, they have to learn how to. And again, like I said, everyone takes feedback and communication differently. Like some guys are like, grinder. They can take that Milton, like, fuck you gotta get better. Like some guys can process that. Some people need a little more nurturing in certain areas. But no one's ever going to really know fully 100%, like, okay, how is this person going to, how would you like feedback taken? There's not enough, that'd be nice, but that's not always going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a reason that certain people have certain personalities, and then they make it successful based on, what they do and how they are, and they attract a certain person based on that, and that's fine. But people have to be okay with, hey, like, this is probably what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. Mm-hmm. But the reason I'm here is X, Y, Z, and I have to take the feedback, however it's provided, to move forward.
And you know how hard it is as a coach to provide feedback in that moment, because you're so invested in this like athlete. You've done so much, their capabilities, and they don't give the result that they want or the result that they're capable of, and then they get emotional. Like, obviously I'm already emotional. It's like having that emotional regulation as a coach is like probably one of the hardest things, because it's like, how do I not say how I want to say what I want to say?
You're like, damn, they just lost a national final. They're crying. You're just like, I know why they lost.
Yeah, right.
But fuck.
Yeah.
I know why you didn't get that.
How do I approach this situation right now? Like, maybe I have to like sit back a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to go screen a pillow. He's come back. Okay. How are you feeling? It's like, they just lost. They got their ass kicked. I'm sure you feel like shit. Okay, here's the reality. This is this. You're going to learn from this. Maybe a shit sandwich might do better. Trust me, I get it. The regulation is, trust me. It's definitely a battle. I think things have, like I said, I think it's just a whole education piece. And that's never going to change. Like the growth aspect of us coaching and having to, we're chameleons essentially. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be chameleons. We have to adjust. We have to adapt, because everyone takes it differently. But I would always believe that regardless of how you communicate feedback, it should never be against the standard. Like, I'm not going to make an exception because, well, this is what we believe in. This is what we're all working towards. I can't make an exception for you because of this, why this, because you don't like this. It's like, well, no, like, this is what we're striving for. You agreed to this program, like you were recruited for this program, and then you didn't meet the goal. It's an objective. It's like I said, it's a reality check. Mm-hmm. It's not personal. It's just, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You have to be able to process that and move forward. Mm-hmm. So it's ever growing. I will say that it is definitely ever growing. So then, if you had any advice for an up and coming coach, let's just say, again, you're relatively new. Like, what's one piece of advice you would give for an up and coming coach that wants to get into post secondary coaching? This is the Performance Matters podcast. We're talking about performance all day, man. Like, this is fucking what we do.
So with let's say with wrestling, because I can't really speak on all coaches, but with wrestling, I think the one thing you got to like keep in mind is that like all body types are different. Everyone's different, and they're gonna come in with unique sets of skills that you're gonna have to learn to like maneuver around. I think the one thing that we can't do with athletes when they come to post-secondary is try to change their blueprint. I think
squeeze them into a mold.
Yes, exactly. I think at this point, it's like we got to work with their blueprint. I think that's the biggest piece of advice, because I feel like since I've been at McMaster, instead of me trying to be like, okay, well, you need to do this a certain way, whenever I worked with the athletes, I found a way for me to implement what I was trying to tell them but they can still be an individual. So
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So
I
you're
think
trying
just
to-
making sure that they're still an individual and just growing on their path and not your path kind of thing. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
For
it's
something
kind of like you
wrestling.
you put some boundaries, you give them creative feedback. It's like, here's what I want you to get to. Here are the boundaries. Creatively get there on how you get there. If I want a high crotch, turn to this.
I like that.
How you get to your high crotch to that position, up to you. Find a way to set that up.
100%.
Get there for you. If you get to take down the points, if it ain't broke, I'm not fixing it. That's how you do a high crotch. It may not be the most technical, way for how I would teach it.
Yeah.
But you find a way to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Marty was always good at the headlock. Not everyone can do a front headlock.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
But he found a
100%.
way for him, and he can't squeeze you into the same mold. Like, well, that's how I do it. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
but everyone's a little bit different lever lengths, different body types. Not everyone can do the same move the same way.
Yeah.
Can you get to the same outcome creatively on your own individual mold? And then if the outcome's the same, go for it.
Go for it. Exactly.
Yeah, if you're getting the points
I like
regularly.
that. Setting the boundaries. That's probably the best part. Set those boundaries and like play within it.
Yeah.
Play within those boundaries and try to find your avenue to success. I like that one for sure.
Yeah, you can take that. You can take that home with you. You can take that fucking home with you. Okay, that's pretty good. So, we'll kind of wrap up with this. How can people find out more about you? Find out more about the McMaster Wrestling Program? Maybe explain like a little bit what the wrestling program looks like. How many days a week you're training? What's that look like? Just in case anyone wants to know.
How can people find out more about McMaster Wrestling Program? I don't know. Give me or the head coach, Ahmed Shamia, a shout. We love to have people. We love to host people. We love to just create the environment to be something. We're trying to make it something great. It's the same thing at Niagara Top Team, coach there as well. So with Niagara Top Team, how do you find out about a Niagara Top Team? I don't know. Look at the UFC. We got some people in there.
Yeah.
Other ways to find out, right here on the podcast, Niagara Top Team. You go to the website, you go to the Instagram, all that stuff. Practices at Niagara Top Team. Mondays are hard wrestling practices. There's sparring practice on Thursday that I'm always at, and there's a bunch of recreational classes. There's little kids classes if you want to start your little kids at 5:30 to 7 on Fridays. For the McMaster practices, though, if you're a wrestler, come out 100%. We welcome everyone. We want bodies. We practice Monday through Friday. Saturdays are singlet Saturdays, but Monday through Fridays is alternate. Monday morning, Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, Thursday afternoon, evening. Am I messing that up? Wednesday morning, Thursday evening, and then Friday morning. Anyways, yeah, that's our program schedule. I like it. I like the morning practices. It's like really good to start wrestling in the morning because all the tournaments start in the morning. So
yeah,
I really like having like those hard practices in the morning. Yeah, that's about it. We host camps all the time. We're trying to like make that a big thing for us. So yeah, that's about it. I don't know what else to say.
Simple. McMaster Wrestling. They practice 5 or 6 days a week. Guys lift weights too. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
We lift weights as well too.
Good.
So,
Yeah, can't lose. All right, fantastic. Okay, Jevon Balfour, thanks for coming on. Guys, Performance Matters podcast. You can follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. So like and subscribe. Jevon, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Trey.
Bless.